Hi everyone, how high could price go before eventually a proper reversal to the downside? Let's look at my medium time frame, low time frame and micro scenarios, starting with my preferred medium time frame Elliott Wave scenario on Bitcoin, where we have been looking for this to be a 1, 2, 3, 4, now working on wave 5 to the upside. In this particular scenario, if we zoom in, there is multiple ways to calculate a potential wave 5 target, and there's two on the chart right now, which are the Fibs over here and the Fibonacci up there. Now usually, if wave 3 is the extended wave and you get a proper wave 4 to the downside and not this shallow, this is the most common target for wave 5 between the 1.236 and the 1.618. However, wave 4 was incredibly shallow. It actually reached a rare target, which is the 0.146 fib taken from the low of 2 to the high of 3. Very nicely respected though, but therefore this usually most common target area for wave 5 becomes less respected, and then we have to look at the 0.618 up here, the wide line at 34.9k. So the 0.618 is pulled from the absolute low over here to the high of 3 to then the low of wave 4, and that is a potential target as well for wave 5. Now it also, as you can see, has actually nice confluence with my green target box over here, and if I click on the target box, you can see there's a couple of confluences right inside this area between 34.5k and 35k. So this is a very interesting area indeed. And also because price now pushed above one of the more common areas for wave 5 usually, it is expected that price continues to the upside grinding for eventually ending this wave 3, because we have the blue count in this green 5, so a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, where the blue Fibonacci lines you see are potential targets for wave 3. Now the minimum target for a wave 3, extended wave 3 I should say, is the 1.618, which is actually right here and has already been respected, but also has already been passed. So now we are kind of ranging against the 2 extension over here, pulled from the low of 4 to the high of 1 to the low of wave 2. However, what I think is very interesting is the 2.618 over here, which has confluence with the highs of a range in 2022, which is this one over here. So the 2.618 extension with the highs is a very interesting potential target for this wave 3, before then a little bit of a correction in a wave 4 and then a wave 5 to the upside, where one of the important targets I'll be looking for to see what price is going to do is right here, but between and about 34.9k, and as mentioned between 34.5 and 35k. Now if you then zoom into the more local price section and actually go to lower time frames, we start with the more bullish scenario over here, where we have the wave 3, the wave 4, and you can see the blue count in a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now in this particular scenario, as mentioned, this wave 3 can be extended to the upside, as well as then the green 5 and the blue 5. So wave 3 might continue to the upside, take the high of this range before getting the blue 4 and then the 5 to the upside. However, another possibility is that potentially the high of 5 is going to be taking the highs of the range in 2022 before then eventually downside. So let's have a look, right? Because if this is a wave 1 and this is a wave 2 over here, we are looking for a wave 3 to the upside. And if we look at the volume, there is a nice bunch of volume over here. It's more than in wave 1, which is exactly what you want to see. Increasing volume, especially in a wave 3. But you can also see now that after this push to the upside with a high amount of volume now, we made a new high. However, compared to this wave over here, the volume is a little bit lower. And that is something to at least take into account. So one could potentially count this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a wave 5. Over here, you do see again two of the more common target areas for wave 5, the 1.236 and the 1.618, as well as the 0.618 in this area in the white target box, basically between 30.8k and 31.4k. So that could be an interesting area for potentially the end of this yellow wave 5. And if that is the case, then after this wave 5, which then is a bigger wave 3, you would expect a corrective structure in a wave 4. Now you can also see that for this wave 4, my invalidation is basically at 29k, and the reason is that if I pull a fib from the low of that blue wave 2 to the high that we have made so far, and I put on the wave 3 targets, and I actually put them quickly because I'm working on log scale, I'll put them on log as well, then you can see, and it's quite messy, so let me actually remove that, and then you can see that the more common targets for a wave 4, the 236, the 382, and also the 0.5 are all above the invalidation line. Usually, you don't want to see wave 4 candles close below the 0.5, as then most likely it is not a wave 4. So for me, the invalidation is that if price would potentially move to the downside, then if we are going to cross this line, I do think we have lower prices to come and a bigger correction to the downside. But as long as we can stay above this level at 29K basically, then what more upside is to be expected. And also because we are so close to the high time, or to the range over here, the highs of the range in 2022, I'm almost like, yo, why would price not go up and at least take these highs? And if I look at the resistance as well, currently, I mean, we already passed the target box that I had here, so we are ranging above, which is a more bullish sign. And the next target box I have also includes again the highs of the range in 2022, as you can see. And this target box is from 8K to 32.6K basically. So I don't really see any reason not to eventually find more upside, even though this might be the high of this wave blue 3, down for 4, and then eventually up for 5 to then take at least the highs of the range in 2022. And then we have to wait and see what price is going to do once it is going to reach that area, and of course if it is going to reach that area. Now if we then go to the micro scenarios, I have 2 scenarios for you. And these are the scenarios basically from the price action over here. Gotta say, it's not easy to count this stuff because there's a lot of overlap. So take it with a little bit of how do they say it in English? A grain of salt or an inch of salt or whatever it is. But yeah, we had the correction over here before then the nice long setup as mentioned in many previous videos by now. So eventually target reached, double top taken, very, very nice. Now if you then zoom in, and it might look a little bit messy, but what this count represents in this scenario is that this move up was a wave 1, then we have a 3 wave in 2, then this is wave 3, which with inside this wave 3 a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then a corrective 4, and then another push to the upside in wave 5. Not necessarily too happy about this wave 5, as it's quite difficult to count a nice 5-wave structure in this final leg to the upside. And also if we look at the volume, then you can see the volume over here is increasing. That's usually like a wave 3 type of sign, where wave 5 is usually not the one with the highest volume. It usually has less volume than wave 3. But in this scenario, this is the volume of wave 3 and this is the volume of wave 5. And clearly wave 5 in this scenario has more volume. So having this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 might at the moment be an alternative, where this then is a bigger 1 followed by a 2 to the downside, where this wave 2 is incredibly short compared to this wave 1, shorter, as you can see here down here, shorter than the 0.236 fib time taken from the low of 1 to the high of this wave 1, which also is actually quite rare. Before then, this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave move in a wave 1, expecting a correction to the downside, a wave 2, before then a move to the upside again. So basically this is a 1, 2, 1, 2, expecting more upside. We also bounced at the moment on the double top highs for a little bit of a support resistance flip, but of course this has been tested once. So if price would go down, I would expect to at least take this low. There's no reason to bounce basically again on the double top. There is a little bit of confluence though. You can see I have a target box over here, 15-minute order block, the 786, and we have the range value area high of this range over here. So that could be an interesting level. And for this scenario, the invalidation is taking this low over here, because if this is a 1, 2 and then another 1, 2, you do not want to see price in this potential wave 2 to the downside go below the origin of this wide 1 to the upside. So that is something to definitely take into account. Also, you see news over here. I do like to say it that at 2:30 p.m., which is in 1.5 hours the moment this video is live, we got some high impact news over here, the red news. So make sure that whatever you do, once the news hit, which is the line over here, trade safe. Have your strategy, have your safety in place, just in case volatility is gonna kick ass around that time. Then finally, the more, I guess, bearish scenario is that, well, basically the same as more like the low time frame scenario, where this is going to be the high of then a wave 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we expect a bigger correction to the downside. As you can see, I didn't really put too much work in this scenario, but because, yeah, I don't really expect a big retracement to the downside just yet. But of course, it is something we at least have to take into account. So currently, this still is more preferred, even though the count might not be too great because of this wave 5. So looking at the lower time frames, this being a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, okay, but then again wave 5 has more volume. So this candle over here, a high volume push to the upside, looks to be part of a wave 3, or maybe the beginning of a wave 3. So yeah, it's not easy to count this area over here, but at the moment as it stands right now, yeah, I would expect eventually a bit more upside to come. Of course, we can have a correction, go down to this target box as mentioned. There's a couple of invalidations here as well, and we have to wait and see what price is going to give us. Sometimes also with Elliott Waves, of course, price action is not too clear, and it's not absolutely like, it's never certain, but of course probability wise sometimes impulses have very nice structures, and what is happening over here does not have too great of a structure, but at least I've shared my thoughts with you, and you can do with that whatever you like, of course. I hope this video was helpful or valuable to you. I'd like to thank you for watching and subscribing, and I will see you at the next one. Bye bye.